standing. All right, slate.
Hello, friends. Good to have you with us on Red Barn Radio. I'm Bradford Becker. Tonight we continue in our 21st season of Red Barn Radio, and we welcome you to show number 824. Our guest this evening, Kyle Eldridge, has been burning his way into the country western scene and has quickly become in demand both domestically and abroad. From Louisville, Kentucky, Kyle has become known as one of the most prominent guitar players in the traditional scene for his Joe Maphis derived and western jazz styling. I know you're going to dig what we have going on in the barn tonight, and then you can go out and check Kyle out live next time he's playing around your town. This past week, I had a great time listening to Kyle's 2018 Echophonics sessions, which I believe he recorded out in California with his friend and mentor, Deke Dickerson, another guy with a great story. Get ready for some fun tonight, folks. Kyle Eldridge has entered the barn.
Good evening and welcome to Red Barn Radio. Wherever in the world you're listening, welcome to Roots Music Southern Style. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn Radio's official radio partner, NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Listen online at weku.org. Red Barn Radio is supported by Visit Lex, Lexington, Kentucky's Convention and Visitors Bureau. More information on what Lexington has to offer is at visitlex.com. LexArts, Lexington, Kentucky's premier cultural development, advocacy, and fundraising organization, working for the development of a strong and vibrant arts community as a means of enhancing the quality of life in Central Kentucky. Follow Red Barn Radio on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Here's the host of Red Barn Radio to tell us more about tonight's performers.
Kyle Eldridge is originally from Springfield, Ohio, but moved to Louisville, Kentucky in 2015. He got his start playing in the South, where he met upright bassist Dakota Collins, who brought him to Nashville, Tennessee. They began playing Honky Tonks on the famous Broadway strip, and soon after he recorded his debut EP in Los Angeles, California at Deke Dickerson's studio. Kyle has played alongside artists from Jim Heath of Reverend Horton Heath to Shaun Young of High Noon and Dale Watson and his Lone Stars, among others. Tonight, Kyle is joined by his band, John McQueen on the Doghouse bass and Brian Hofflick on drums. We're glad you can be with us for an evening of music and conversation with Kyle Eldridge.
All right. Here's a little thing I wrote a few years back called The Riverboat Gambler. Here we go. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Well, I worked in the sun in the field with my dad since I was just 15. I thought there's gotta be a better way for me to make a living as a train whistle blowing out steam. So I bought myself a hat with a telescope top, new suit and mustache wax. Then I hopped on the riverboat to Kentucky to play my hand to win some cash. 'Cause I'm a riverboat gambler. I roll 7 on 11, that'll be the biggest winner in town. Riverboat gambler. You can bet your money on my bottom dollar, brother, I'm riverboat bound. So I tried my hand at Texas Hold'em. Blackjack I won a lot. Way the paddle wheel turned and the boat slowed down to show Kentucky what I've got. So I placed my bets at Churchill Downs and lost every race but one. Then I took my winnings to the Horseshoe Casino and gambled till my money was gone. 'Cause I'm a riverboat gambler. I roll 7 on 11, that'll be the biggest winner in town. Riverboat gambler. You can bet your money on my bottom dollar, brother, I'm riverboat bound. There was a place down there where I could gamble all night and sleep all day and never have to worry or care. Where the paddle wheel turned and the boat took off, or a place they call New Orleans, where I won't have to work and I'll just get to be a gambling riverboat king. 'Cause I'm a riverboat gambler. I roll 7 on 11, that'll be the biggest winner in town. Riverboat gambler. You can bet your money on my bottom dollar, brother, I'm riverboat bound. You can bet your money on my bottom dollar, brother, I'm riverboat bound. Thank you, thank you. Pop the string there. Hold on there. There we go.
Getting crazy with it, Kyle?
This is a brand new guitar, so working out the bugs here. Don't worry. Getting that string in there. There we go. Perfect. All right. Here's another number for you, a little thing I wrote called Get Up and Leave This Town. It goes like this. Will I ever get up and leave this town? Well, I'll tell you what I don't plan on doing. And I was waiting around. Well, I used to hear stories this town was a scene, but all I see is a ghost town, lonely and mean. Will I ever get up and leave this town? Time. Living here's pretty nice. Spring, summer, and the fall. It's just like paradise. But when there's snow on the ground and you're freezing half to death, when the clouds fill the skies and it makes you so depressed. Every season of the winter time. Living here's pretty nice. I'd rather work hard at what I love to do than to slave away at something I hate. Now, wouldn't that make for a more efficient worker? I mean, it's just like they say, if you find something you're good at or something that you like, you never work a minute or a day in your life. So I'd rather work hard at what I love to do than to slave away at something I hate. Thank you very much. All right, here's another one, a little thing called Saturday Night. You ready, boys? Oh, yeah. All right. Hanging out in our bar Saturday night. There's a feeling in the air and it feels just right. See, my friends are all drinking by the light of the moon, dancing to the music of a jukebox tune. I like to get on this stage and play for all my friends, just drinking and dancing to me and my pals, the good old Kentucky cowhands, sitting outside and shooting the breeze on a warm summer night with the cool autumn breeze. You've been working all day, now it's time for some fun. Kick back the chair and pull up a rug. A root beer for me, a glass of wine for my chick. Then we'll honky tonk till 12 or 1. Then we'll find a little place where we can have some fun. I know a few quiet places in town for parking. If you're feeling just right, then maybe we can do some sparking. Then I'll drive you home in my old beat-up car, just me and you underneath the moon and the stars. Maybe we'll see UFO fly across the sky down in Louisville, Kentucky on a Saturday night. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, this next song here, this is a brand new one. I wrote and recorded on a session I did last summer out in California, and it's currently getting mixed and mastered, and it'll be on an album out real soon. This is a track off that little thing called the Crystal Pistol. Let's go honky-tonkin', darling, let's go make the rounds. Put on your hat and best dress, honey, and we'll go truck on down. The people are a-dancing and shuffling their feet. The sound of clinking glasses while men fight out in the street. Some folks in town see spaceships when they look up at the sky. Don't you worry, honey, it's just a pistol neon sign. There's fighting and a feuding and drinking there till dawn. At the Crystal Pistol honky tonk, we'll have some fun. Honky-tonkin', darling, let's go make the rounds. Put on your hat and best dress, honey, and we'll go truck on down. Where the people are a-dancing and shuffling their feet. The sound of clinking glasses while men fight out in the street. Some folks in town see spaceships when they look up at the sky. Don't you worry, honey, it's just a pistol neon sign. There's fighting and a feuding and drinking there till dawn. At the Crystal Pistol honky-tonk, we'll have some fun.
Hey, folks, we got Kyle Eldridge in the barn this evening. He's here with John McQueen back there on drums, and or rather Brian Hoflick back there on drums, and I said it right.
Thank you.
Yeah, and John McQueen over there slapping that bass.
That's what matters. That's great.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You're doing a good job over there. Hey, so I think it might be a good point to start, Kyle, to talk a little bit about these guitars. Maybe before we talk about that new one you have in your hand, you could reach back behind you there and grab that old instrument that you used to play there. Yeah, that one there, the one that you used to play before you got the new one. And clearly the one you have there is a lot better than that one.
Well, I had to get a new guitar because, you know, this one, all the strings fell off.
Yeah.
It was clearly made with old outhouse repurposed wood.
Sure, right.
It kind of smelled funny.
Indeed.
So we'll set that aside for now.
All right,
Like
good.
a kind of a surface level kind of a sound.
That's right. Sort of one dimension.
Flat tone.
Tell us about that. Tell us about that great instrument you got there, Kyle.
All right, so this is a T&M guitar made by Terry MacArthur out of Nashville, Tennessee. And Terry is a master luthier and builder, and he made me this guitar last year, commissioned last year. And what he makes is, these are basically replicas of the 1950s style Mosrite, Joe Maphis, Larry Collins from the Collins Kids, that whole 50s Mosrite type guitar. They're hollow, so they're not really, that heavy as they look. They used to be back in the 50s. The original made for Joe Maphis, I want to say it was probably 16 pounds or something originally. And Joe was a real tall guy. And even then, it messed his shoulder up over time, messed with his shoulder and his neck, and he had problems later on in life. So when I had Terry build me one, I said, build it like Joe's, except I'm not as tall as Joe Maphis was. So build me one a little smaller. The body's a little bit smaller, a little shallower. And I said, hollow it out as much as you can. I want to be able to play this, not just for a couple songs.
For the purpose of weight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
And I want to be able to utilize this as a tool and go out and play for people. So he did a fantastic job. But I have another guitar. I had another double neck last year that I was playing that I bought as a vintage one. It was a Carvin. And Carvins are great guitars, and even their old ones. This was a late 50s one I had a mandolin neck on the top. This one's just a regular, like an octave guitar. So it's just like the regular guitar, but just an octave up. So it plays the same.
So yep. Did not play that. Oh, excellent, great.
So you get like a mandolin type tone out of it, but your muscle memory is all the same.
Yeah.
That opened up a lot. And I can have other guitar players come up and we can do double neck tomfoolery on stage.
And do you do that sometimes?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Oh.
We did that with so far a few times. Well, the day I received this in Nashville, Deke Dickerson came to town to Nashville, and he's the one who really helped start this whole process, because I was playing that old Carvin, which was a good guitar, but it had problems. I mean, it's
what kind of issues?
Well, it had some structural issues at the time and a lot of electronic issues. Since then, I've gotten all that fixed and repaired, but I brought that guitar out to a festival we were doing in Boston last year, me and Deke, and I was playing it during my set, and I had made up my mind at that point, like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to ever afford or own something like this. And I had put it out of my mind, and I thought, well, I'll just play this Carvin, and I'll do the best I can with it. And I went to that festival and played it and did the best I could with it. And everyone, pat me on the back, said, good job, and all that. And Deke comes up to me in the hallway of this place afterwards and says, man, no one else is going to tell you this, Kyle, but that guitar has issues. And he said, you were playing it the best you could. I can tell. He says, you're having some tuning issues with it. I could tell you were struggling a little bit. He's like, we really need to get you one of those T&M really good. If you're going to have a double neck, you should get one of the good ones. And I said, man, I just can't afford that. I don't think that's going to be possible for me as a working musician, because they're pricey. I mean, he's a master luthier, builds them by hand, takes them, every bit of, over half a year to really make them. And Deke said, let me think about this for a few days and get back to you. Okay. A few days go by, and he calls me up and says, man, I think we should do a GoFundMe for you. And I said, well, I don't want to start a GoFundMe and ask people for donations for a selfish cause, for something that I want to use and play. And he said, no. He said, I'll set it up, and you just help promote it, and let's see, even if we can get you an eighth of the way there, at least it'll put you in the right direction. And I said, okay, well, I'm willing to give it a try. So he put it live on his Facebook page and Instagram and social media, and we all shared it and everything.
How long ago?
This is last summer. This will be last September.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fast. Okay.
Yeah, and so, and I was expecting, and hoping, like, well, maybe we can get, like a quarter of the way there financially, and I could hack it, and within, I want to say it was like 5 hours, we reached goal. And that was... Wow. We got, so that was incredible, and blew my mind. It still blows my mind thinking about it. And so doing that, and we got it commissioned, and he built this really quick. And Terry's got a Facebook page where he posts, he would post daily updates of his process and how he builds these, and you can go check that out. It's all documented now.
Updates, so you mean the process of him actually constructing this particular instrument?
This particular one.
Oh,
yeah.
Fun.
He documented it all, and for posterity. And so it's all on there, and you can go check him out, Terry MacArthur and T&M Guitars. So this was really was kind of a miracle guitar. And again, I still have the old guitar, and I like it and everything, but this one just exceeds it by a million. I mean, this one plays a lot easier. It's masterfully crafted. And it looks real sharp.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And so the folks who have played this style of music, like for instance, Joe Maphis, you said that his instrument, that it was tuned like mandolin.
Oh, that's the old Carvin I have.
Oh, the old Carvin.
Yeah.
Oh, I got
his,
you.
His was more like this.
His was octave.
And Larry Collins was as well. And because they would do those double neck tricks and get other guitar players on stage, because they were on that TV show back in the day called Town Hall Party. It was like the Grand Ole Opry of the West Coast out in L.A. And they were like stars on that show. So they would do all the showbiz tricks. And I kind of wanted to just, pay tribute to that and bring that back to life, because it's kind of a little lost piece of history, that era. And, everyone thinks about the 50s as rock and roll and country and different stuff, but those West Coast guys kind of get lost in the mix, and they were really integral. Him, Larry Collins, Merle Travis, who was from Kentucky, he moved to California and had a really nice career out there, and showbiz and guitar playing. And, this guitar to me is kind of a dream come true, because it allows me to really showcase what those guys and gals were doing back then.
Yeah, cool. Why don't you talk a little bit more about Deke Dickerson?
Yeah, so Deke.
Your friend, yeah.
Yeah, Deke's a great guy, and he's been doing kind of what I'm doing, except for a lot longer. And
Guitar player.
Guitar player.
Yeah.
Yep, guitar player, singer, songwriter, music historian, journalist, you name it.
Does he call his thing rockabilly?
Yeah, I would say generally, to a modern audience, old honky tonk country, sometimes surf rock. It all kind of goes in, and rockabilly, rock and roll, a catch-all rockabilly.
Yeah. And you like that, okay, when people...
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Yeah, I mean, because
what do you prefer?
Rockabilly and Western swing and all that stuff, all that stuff gets broken down into so many subcategories all the time. I either call what I do rockabilly or just traditional country.
I guess I think of when I think of rock Western swing.
Yeah.
I guess I think of a bigger, fatter rhythm sound. I think of twin fiddles,
Yep.
and I even think a little bit about rhythm and lead guitar.
Yeah.
When I think about rockabilly and surfabilly, I think
Yeah.
much more about this sort of guitar-centric music like what you have going on here.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And I'm a big fan of Western swing, and I incorporate a lot of it into my guitar playing and into my songwriting. But I usually work with trios, because back in the day, like back in the 40s and 50s, when Western swing was really thriving, you're talking, they were emulating the big bands, like, the big swing bands of the day with country instruments. And so you're talking, sometimes they would have a 6-7 piece band, sometimes a 13-14 piece band. But that was at the height of its popularity, and it's just not feasible to do that financially or logistically these days a lot of times. So I've always worked with a trio, and I like so many different genres of that mid-century Americana genre kind of music, that my personal dream was, as a guitar player, of course, I like to hear guitar, and I love rockabilly because it features guitar a lot. But I love Western swing, but, I can't play all the instruments at once. So here I am with one guy with a guitar, but, I can do a little bit.
You got two necks.
It's got two necks, that's true. But, I can get a lot of those different sounds, or attempt to get a lot of those sounds on the guitar, and kind of have a trio rockabilly kind of sound, guitar forward sound, incorporating some of those big band elements and Western swing and country elements into my music. For instance, I can play some steel guitar licks on my guitar, You can get some of those tones. You can get some fiddle, of course, You can get some little fiddle licks on there. Even banjo. A little tune, little licks here and there,
Yeah.
and try to emulate other instruments, and just kind of trying to marry those two ideas of the big bands back in the day, country and Western swing bands, with the more economical rockabilly, guitar-centric kind of more in-your-face, loud kind of thing. I like to mix those two, and that's how I do it.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get back to some more music, and we'll come back and have some more conversation in a little bit.
All right, sounds like a plan.
Hey, welcome back, Kyle Eldridge.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, this is a Joe Maphis and Larry Collins tune that they recorded back in the late 50s. Let's do a little bit of that for them. This is a little thing called the Rockin' Gypsy. Thank you very much. All righty. Here's a song is out on Swell Tune Records last year. This was on my first vinyl record that I recorded. This is my country western alien conspiracy theory song. This is a little tune called The Spooky Moon. It goes like this. Way up high, there's a bright neon light that tells you when the harvest and guides the ocean tide. Is there a man in the moon? UFOs I can't tell. NASA won't say the surface rings like a bell. It's a spooky moon, and ever watching night. A stardust saloon, where strangers might cause a fight. Has the truth revealed that we're not alone? Some myths are real. It's a spooky moon. Well, I wonder about the missions that they launched to the moon. Behind the scenes, the cameras that were kept out of view. Froze the secret footage that were taken that day and confiscated back on Earth from out there in space. It's a spooky moon, and ever watching night. A stardust saloon, where strangers might cause a fight. Has the truth revealed that we're not alone? Some myths are real. It's a spooky moon. Back channel secrets on the ham radios. A spacecraft on craters looking down from above. Were we allowed to travel there but we're not to stay? Is there a lunar secret being kept up in space? It's a spooky moon, and ever watching night. A stardust saloon, where strangers might cause a fight. As the truth revealed that we're not alone. Some myths are real. It's a spooky moon. Thank you. All right, let's do a fast one now, boys. Let's do a little barn burner. This one's off of our Riverboat Gambler EP we recorded a couple years ago. A little thing called The Women of Piccolo.
Folks, we've got lots more music and conversation with Kyle Eldridge, but I would like to take a moment to remind listeners that Red Barn live streams, both tonight's and on any Wednesday, remain available online for you to view at your convenience. Our live video stream is available on the weku.org website, as is our audio stream, compliments of wgad.net in Central New York. Don't miss a single episode of our program, and for heaven's sakes, be sure to tell your friends what it is that you like about Red Barn Radio, so they'll come and enjoy this too. Our guests next week are the dynamic duo of Lexington natives Donnie Bowling and Brett Higgins. Brett is a soulful singer-songwriter with only one gear when it comes to performance, and that's the highest gear possible, as you will soon find out. His infectious energy and passion for what it is that he does is all something you absolutely have got to experience to understand. Brett was the recipient of the Lexington Music Awards R&B and Rap Artist of the Year in 2021. Donnie Bowling, his partner, is a prolific indie folk rock song writer from Eastern Kentucky. That was a mouthful. Donnie found a love for music at an early age and was well into writing and singing his own songs by high school. He just recently released a new album titled Work Yourself Out. Brett and Donnie are with us next week in studio and on Red Barn Radio's live stream. That's 7 p.m. Eastern in North America. Red Barn Radio, listen to the live. Now let's get back to tonight's Red Barn Radio program. We welcome you live on our social media platforms, broadcasting from the Arts Place Performance Hall here in the grand city of Lexington, Kentucky. Welcome back, Kyle Eldridge, to Red Barn Radio.
Thank you very much. We're going to do a tune now. This is another brand new one. This one I recorded last year, and hopefully it'll come out this year. It's a little thing called Root Beer. Well, a man walked up to the stage of the show. He said, I want to buy a shot for the band. I said, no, give a shot to the boys. Me, I want a glass, that's a brass sarsaparilla from a bark on a branch. Want a cold, crisp, carbonated, caramel color brew. Tall, fries, a glass, not a jug of Mountain Dew. A double shot, a soda pop, root beer. I want a chug, a frosty mug, all root beer. All alone. She asked me if she could put her number in my phone. She said, would you like a drink, a martini in a glass? I said, want a soda pop if you want a romance. Want a cold, crisp, carbonated, caramel colored brew. Tall, fries, a glass, not a jug of Mountain Dew. A double shot, a soda pop, root beer. I want a chug, a frosty mug, all root beer. Carbonated, caramel colored brew in a tall frosted glass, not a jug of Mountain Dew. A double shot, soda pop, root beer. I want a chug, a frosty mug, all root beer. There it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here's a little bit older one I wrote quite a few years ago. This was recorded on that Echophonic Session EP I did a few years back at Deke Dickerson studio. A little thing called Why Did You Bother Me at All? Why did you bother me at all when you didn't care about me all along? Why did you waste all of my time? You weren't worth a nickel, and you sure weren't worth my dime. Tired of your fickle ways, do you love just a game? Well, in the end, I'm matter what I did, it would have turned out just the same. Now time has healed my soul, but scars remind me. It's okay to trust somebody, just be sure you realize. Understand things. I think about it, but no light of truth. These thoughts and feelings I still have allude to you. Deep inside the ocean of my soul, you painted blue. Tired of your fickle ways, to you love's just a game. Well, in the end, no matter what I did, it would have turned out just the same. Now time has healed my soul, but scars remind me. Okay to trust somebody, just be sure you realize. There it is, yeah. Why did you bother me at all? Well, we did a new one, and then we did an older one. Let's do another brand new one. Just for you guys. This is a tune I wrote. This is kind of a country western tune, a little honky tonk song called Penny, Nickel, and Dime. Well, I went out honky tonkin', so I bought some new boots, a new fancy custom tailor-made western suit, a new Stetson hat to put up high on my head, and a 5-star meal to keep myself well fed. Going a penny, nickel, and dime my money away. Well, I drive an old hot rod with dice in the mirror, a dancing hula girl on my dash when I steer. I like to go out cruising and I keep the roads hot with my chrome-plated double-barreled polished exhaust. I'm going a penny, nickel, and dime my money away. The rent's due tomorrow and I got paid today. My car needs new tires and my guitar needs strings. I promised my gal I'd take her out on a date, so we ordered up some drinks and 2 filet mignon steaks. I'm gonna penny, nickel, and dime my money away. Well, the shutters won't shut and the roof sprung a leak. The carpet needs replacing, dishes piled in the sink. I don't mean to do it, but my money just spends. Another 6-pack to go, another night out with friends. Going a penny, nickel, and dime my money away. get a record coming out next week. A chart-topping country song is just what I need. So I can pay my bills with my dollars and cents. I'll be flying high until it's time to pay 'em again. I'm gonna penny, nickel and dime my money away. I'm gonna penny, nickel and dime my money away. Thank you very much. Penny, nickel, and dime my money away.
Hey, Kyle, one thing I've been noticing here, I didn't think about this earlier, is that you do not have effects pedals going on.
Yeah.
Has that always been the case?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, I've always dabbled and experimented with some different sounds, of course, but the only thing I've got is my guitar running through the amp and maybe a little bit of slapback echo delay, just a touch. Not as crazy and wild as like some of those old rockabilly records, but I like just a touch.
Yeah.
Gives a little space. But other than that, it's straight into the amp.
Yeah. Well, that makes, and that makes it, I should think, even more challenging. I mean, I think, to some extent, you can hide some behind effects.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, yeah, we get just you, and it seems like that'd be really demanding through an entire show to be sort of playing clean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it comes with a set of challenges, no doubt about it. And, you kind of see everything, which I kind of like. I like the honesty of it.
Yeah.
I'm never perfect. You see mistakes and all, but it's good because it's what you get is, what's coming out of my mind at that time, right onto the guitar, right to your ears, as close as you can get. The more effects pedals you add into your chain, which is fun. I do like some good effect pedals.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Yeah.
As a guitar nerd, I can't help it.
Uh-huh.
But, it is fun going out to, play a honky tonk bar or, a festival or something and just plugging it right into the amp and saying, hey, this is me. Here's what I do.
Yeah.
And I like the honesty of that. I think people appreciate that.
Yeah, it's cool. So your music, the style of music you play nods to a number of players in our past who've shaped rock and roll and country. You've mentioned a couple, Merle Travis and Joe Maphis. And I wonder if we might start by talking a little bit about Merle Travis and, his impact on your playing. Can you talk some about why Merle Travis is remembered today, the Kentucky-born, Muhlenberg County-born, great thumb picker?
Yeah, well, he kind of did a lot of things. He was one of those guys that was kind of like a Renaissance man of his time. I mean, he was in movies, of course, made a lot of hit records, including 16 Tons, made folk albums, made electric guitar albums, made commercial records, just had a really, really colorful career, no doubt. But his roots always, came from his birthplace in Kentucky and down in Muhlenberg County. They still down there play that kind of style of guitar. It's that thumb picking, finger picking style of guitar that's really unique to him and that region. And guys like Chet Atkins, who was younger than Merle Travis, heard Merle Travis on the radio and said, that's what I want to do, and made his own thing out of it. And you find it all across, popular country records, even in modern country records, it creeps up, and you'll find his playing this kind of melodic thumb-picking style, whether it be someone like Brad Paisley, doing that every now and then, or if you go downtown Nashville, you'll still see guys and gals busting that out on the guitar every now and then. So it's kind of a unique style, and it's not, it can be really fast, but the beauty of it is you can play it in a small ensemble, and you're basically playing the rhythm part and the lead part at the same time.
Can you sort of demonstrate that a little
sure,
bit?
Yeah. I'll play a little of his song, just a few verses here of Cannonball Rag. That was one he made famous.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, yeah.
So
yeah,
it's
that's a great sound.
So it's getting that rhythm playing.
And so was he always playing with a flat pick, or was he using his thumbnail?
Now, he always used a thumb pick typically, and a lot of those thumb pickers, Merle, Travis, he made it so popular. That style existed before him, but he made it so popular it became Travis picking, or known as that.
Sure.
Named after him. And he always used a thumb pick and his first finger a lot of times. And some guys will do that. Some people will play with, hybrid style with multiple fingers.
Yeah.
What I do and what Joe Maphis did and a lot of flat pickers do, because I do a lot of flat picking, to be able to jump back and forth between flat picking and thumb picking, I had to adapt and do my own thing. So I had to just hold my flat pick here and then use my middle finger to get those melody notes.
Yeah. Nice sound.
Oh, thank you.
Nice. Yeah. Easy as can be. Go ahead, audience. You try it now. Yeah, that's a great sound. So a little bit younger than Merle Travis was somebody whose name you've mentioned a lot here tonight, who's Joe Maphis.
Yeah.
Talk about what Joe Maphis sort of did for this sort of musical idiom, I guess.
Yeah. So Joe Maphis came from kind of the East, came from Virginia and Maryland and that kind of region, and was a fiddler originally. As a lot of those early guitar players, a lot of them started off with fiddle. That was a common instrument a lot of people started on, in different, whether it be in Texas, the Western swing style, or on the East Coast, bluegrass and traditional music. And Joe Maphis started off doing that and playing kind of, barn dance music and hoedowns and, like fiddle tunes and all that. And he had developed this guitar style, which his guitar style is kind of a mix of fiddling on the guitar and kind of that old-timey, almost Carter family kind of sound, where he kind of does that. Kind of a chordal style, like a traditional chord style. And he just kind of combined those two and, added in all the speed and playing at 100 miles an hour sometimes.
So that gets it. So the Carter would sort of pull from his Virginia roots.
Yeah, absolutely, his bluegrass roots.
Yeah, but the music that he ultimately gravitated toward, it really pulls more from out west of the Rockies, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And a lot of people hear his music and Merle Travis. I think they call it. They a lot of times they'll call it Western swing, and a lot of times because they were in the West, and and they could swing on that guitar, but. What he brought to the table was the fast playing and those Eastern influences. Because a lot of times, back in those days anyways, kind of west of the Mississippi, it was all Western swing and, big band music and dancing. And you weren't doing good as a musician unless there were people on the dance floor. But east of the Mississippi, it was the opposite. It was you sit politely and watch the show, like bluegrass music and traditional and country. And so those guys would bring those Midwest and Southern and East, sensibilities, the bluegrass influences and the country influences, and introduce that to all those Western swing audiences. And that was a unique flavor at that time. The other thing that they did was really push the electric guitar in the 50s as a dominant instrument. That the show they were on, Joe Maphis, Merle Travis, Larry Collins, they were all on that show Town Hall Party on the West Coast. And the cool thing about Town Hall Party was you had all these honky tonk country western people on there, and it was kind of a country western show. But when rockabilly and rock and roll started coming out and surf rock in the early days, a lot of people kind of in the Nashville scene and kind of the eastern regions, when rockabilly came out and kind of decimated the country western market, a lot of these, there's this really unique era in the kind of mid to late 50s where Elvis came out and rockabilly really just hit, and they sold all the records, and all the country artists' record sales for a while plummeted, and they were trying to make their own rockabilly records just to try to survive. But out on the West Coast, they embraced it,
and that was Bakersfield.
Yeah, that whole start of the Bakersfield sound. Yeah, right. So they would have Johnny Cash and the Tennessee Two out on Town Hall Party as guests. They would have rockabilly, have Gene Vincent and the Blue Caps. They embraced it. And all those early rock and roll folks, whereas a lot of other people is one or the other. But those West Coast guys did a really good job of kind of merging the two and just say, hey, there's room for everybody.
And they were looking for guys who played this style of guitar.
Exactly.
Luther Perkins and
Oh, yeah.
James Burton and all those guys.
Yep, exactly right. So there's this, there's so much of a mixture of genres in that era, which that's why I love that era. It was this post-World War II era where everything wasn't history yet. It was every day is a new day. New guitars are being invented, bigger amps are being invented all around you in the present. And that's a really cool transition period before rock bands later on, and I love that transitional era of the late 40s, early mid-50s. Just a really cool, kind of almost forgotten sometimes piece of the puzzle of music.
You want to say anything else about Maphis and then Collins? You've mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know really least about the Collins kids.
Yeah, so the Collins kids they were kids back when that show Town Hall Party was on. They were cast members on that show. It was Larry Collins and his sister Lori, and they would do duets. And Larry Collins, Joe Maphis got a double neck guitar like this built for him in about 1954, 55, right around then. And at the exact same time, Larry Collins, who was just 8 or 9 years old at the time, I believe, he got him built. They built him one, but they didn't build him one like mine, where it's smaller. He had like the full size 16-pound guitar, and here he is, this little kid. But he just went to town on that. And if you look up any footage on YouTube of Larry Collins and the Collins kids, he was just a ball of energy, and he handled that guitar just like an adult.
I only went to one song, and it was that Whistlebait song that I mentioned.
Goodness.
And
That's
that
a good
was
one.
Hilarious.
Yeah, he was a ball of energy, and there's all his footage. I'd strongly encourage people to check out all that old stuff. It's really, really amazing.
He had really good dance moves too while he was doing all that crazy guitar playing.
Larry Collins did have some good dance moves, and you know what?
He was nuts.
And he
jumping up
never
down going
tripped on
crazy.
his guitar chords somehow.
That is that is nuts. I wonder, hey, Brian, while you're on the microphone there, Brian Hoflick, back on the drums.
Yes.
So as a drummer, what are the sort of special skills this draws upon for you when you play about? How did you learn to play this style of music?
Well, I am making it up as much as I go. I'm making it up and just ripping off everything I've ever heard. I don't really. It's hard for me. I'm bad at pointing out specific drummers because I'm not as knowledgeable as say like Kyle is about. Oh, so and so played on this record. So and so played on this record. But I know the sounds of those records and a lot of those grooves. Like when you've got a crazy fast two-step thing going on. Sometimes there wasn't even a drummer around. Sometimes it was just an upright bass and an acoustic guitar and whatever. So some of what I do is a translation from what other instruments were doing. And then the rest is like, whatever I've heard from early recordings in rock and roll, early recordings in country music, just to really, really pay attention to how exactly they were playing their parts. Because those styles, when you put them all together too, it's like, those are the easy styles that drummers, just think are just easy. And then you put them on a drum set and you ask them to play it and they just barrel through it and it sounds terrible. I know because I used to play it terribly. That's how I know. There's such a nuance to it, and there's such a dynamics to everything. I would like to think everyone's catching that too. I mean, I try to follow whatever he's doing dynamically, just to keep it very interesting and moving in and out of places.
Yeah.
We can be loud and in your face, and then in the next breath, drop it way down to pianissimo. And then all the rest is just I played a lot of jazz in high school, so I've got some fancy licks or whatever that I try to.
Well, I like how small the set is. I like that it's just a sort of no nonsense little kit.
There's a reason for that. There's no toms because there's no time to hit any toms when you're playing 8,000 miles an hour.
Right.
I'm lucky I get from here to here and here to there, and it's get my fingers in a knot.
How'd you meet Kyle?
How did we meet? We met.
I mean, was it the music? Was it this style of music that pulled you guys together?
Yeah, I was playing drums with Crazy Joe Tritchler and Mad River Outlaws. So Crazy Joe was a guitar player that did some playing with Deke Dickerson as well, out all over the place, as a matter of fact. And then Kyle knew Joe. I played with Joe for like 4 or 5 years, and then after I left, Kyle took over on drums. And at some point we met in there. I forget where was the first time we met? See how memorable it was?
Yeah, really. I never
I don't know.
forget it,
There's a
never.
lot of fuzzy years there. I don't know, but yeah, no. We met a long time ago, and John over here on the bass. I've known John for over a decade, and Yellow Springs, Ohio native there.
Oh, all right, up there by
yeah.
Dayton.
Right there by Dayton. And me and John hooked up years ago locally because I'm originally from there, and John was the only guy in town with an upright bass and that knew that style really well, those old Americana styles and those chord changes, the American songbook. He's really steeped in all that stuff, and so he knew what I was trying to accomplish, and we've done a lot of gigs and a lot of shows and a lot of music together.
Huh. Who are some of the other musicians out there these days sort of carrying this torch, for this kind of music? I remember when Stray Cats, blew into the top 40. I don't know, at that time I didn't really appreciate it that much, and it seems like it kind of came and went. I know Setzer then had the Brian Setzer Orchestra, and I don't think I ever listened to one of those albums.
Yeah.
Not because they weren't any good, just because I couldn't appreciate it.
Sure.
But yeah, who are some of the folks out there these days, other than you, who are?
Well, yeah, I guess I'm definitely one of the younger ones these days. But there's been, the Stray Cats really helped put that whole old style of music, the 50s style, rockabilly and rock and roll, into the mainstream consciousness again in the 80s. And it comes and goes. It's in waves like everything does. But it had a resurgence with the swing resurgence. But it's funny when there's these rockabilly festivals that are out there in the world, kind of like bluegrass festivals, and they're really cool and really great. And there's so many good people, and it's a really kind community, because everyone loves that old style of music, and they get together. And there's rockabilly festivals all over the world. There's Viva Las Vegas in Vegas. There's one in England. There's multiple ones in Spain, all over the world.
So you always get guys with all the sort of the trappings and whatnot, the slick back hair and the cowboy hats and the sequined clothing.
Absolutely. The first time I went to one was in Nashville. It was called Nashville Boogie years ago, and that's where I actually formally met Deke Dickerson, who's been flagshipping that style for many years, out on the West Coast and all over the place. He tours all over. Bands like Reverend, Horton, Heath too. They kind of have that edgy kind of like punk influence on their music. But Big Sandy and the Fly Right Boys. Boy, there's just so many. But I would consider myself a part of that gang. We're just we love the same music, and we're just trying to replicate it because we love it, and it's a kind of a labor of love, that music is. But the first time I played one of those rockabilly festivals, people really go all out, and we'll wear the clothes and vintage clothes, and you get a lot of collectors out there, a lot of car people too, hot rod car guys.
Right.
So they're really a lot of fun.
Root beer drinkers.
Root beer drinkers, yeah, that's right. First time I went to one, I was all dudded up like this because that's just my show and what I do, and I thought, I wasn't sure what to expect going to one of those, and I thought, I'm either going to look really silly, come out on stage dressed all, with the old-time vintage clothes and stuff, or I'm going to fit right in. And I walked in, and I fit right in. So it's fun going to those, and I highly encourage people to check those out. They're a lot of fun.
And you were just in over in England, right?
Correct.
Was that in June?
In June,
yeah. And tell me what you encountered over there. Did you meet some new people?
Oh, yeah. A lot of new people. And, Europe's really cool to go over there and play in Spain or England or anywhere over there. It's kind of like the U.S. where, our states are drivable. You can drive 16 hours and get through multiple states. Over there, it's different countries. So you're talking different cultures, and there's this overlying, cultural thing, but each country has its own unique, styles they bring to the table when it comes to that kind of music. And a lot of them appreciate, just like I do, that old Americana music, that old American music. And it's interesting and really cool to see how they appreciate that. and they do appreciate it a lot over there. I love going over there because you get a mix of cultures. You get their take a lot of times on the traditional aspects of it, which to me keeps things fresh because you don't want it all to be the same. I love modern interpretations of things, vintage interpretations of things. But the other interesting thing is, regardless of language, all these people fly in from all over the world to go to these festivals and to do the rockabilly thing. And same for country and western festivals. But, you know, the last one I went to, that one in England, that was a lot of fun. Me, Crazy Joe from Ohio, and Deke Dickerson, we did a trio set where we all traded instruments, and I played drums for a while, then I switched to guitar and sang some songs. And so they got a really good, you know, buffet style smorgasbord of different styles. It was really cool. The other cool thing about it over there is, you know, most people speak, you know, at those festivals will speak English, but it's really neat because music is this universal language. So even if someone maybe can't speak my language or vice versa, I just hold up an old Hank Snow record and they go, yeah, and we're friends forever, you know. And I love that.
At some of these festivals, is there also a melding of rockabilly and sort of surfabilly music? Are both of those things represented typically at those festivals?
They're represented multiple, you know, subgenres within the rockabilly blanket term. There's some surf bands who play like pool parties at those things, and then there's guys like me kind of doing the country western stuff, and that's becoming more and more prevalent these days, I think, within that community. You know, people playing traditional country and you know, bluegrass and you know, that kind of western swing stuff is really becoming more incorporated into that stuff, into those festivals more, which I think is a really fun and healthy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle Eldridge, how fun it's been to have you on the program this evening, and great to meet you guys too, John and Brian. Thank you for your music, and we're glad this isn't it. We've got some more music ahead.
Absolutely.
All right, welcome back, Kyle Eldridge, to Red Barn Radio.
All right, let's do this is another one. I'm just giving you guys a bunch of new songs tonight, so I hope that's okay. This is a brand new one, a little thing called Catalina. Sail away now, a gentle stream awaits you. Close your eyes and rest your weary mind. Gondola ride down a peaceful river. Gondolier sings and steers you mandolin. Up on a hill stands an old stone temple, a silhouette of someone standing there. Her hair was brown, her eyes were green, and she smiled when she looked at me. Is this my love or was it just a dream? Away now, a gentle stream awaits you. Close your eyes and rest your weary mind. A gondola ride down a peaceful river. The gondolier sings and steers to mandolin. Up on a hill stands an old stone temple, a silhouette of someone standing there. Brown, her eyes were green, and she smiled when she looked at me. Is this my love, or was it just a dream? There we go. Catalina, that's what it's called. Thank you. Well, we're going to take it up about 10 notches here, maybe about 100 notches. You know, we talked about Joe Maphis and Merle Travis earlier, and those guys actually famously did a duo album or duet album back in the kind of early mid-'60s, and this is a kind of a deep cut off of that one. A little song called Blast Off. It goes like this. That gives you a little taste of a blast off. That's a little Merle Travis picking and a little Joe Maphis picking combined there. We got one more tune for you. Thank you so much, guys, for having us here at Red Barn. We really appreciate you. Thank you very, very much. We're gonna leave you with an old Merle Haggard song. This is a little tune he did in the 70s. The Honky Tonk Nighttime Man. I'm a honky-tonk nighttime man. I can't stand no light. I'm a honky-tonk nighttime man. I can't stand no light. Get my rest in the daytime. I do my running round at night. Had the blues this morning, had the blues all day today. Had the blues this morning, had the blues all day today. When the shadows fall, I'll blow my blues away. Oh, well. Starts beating when the sun starts sinking low. Well, my heart starts beating when the sun starts sinking low. When the shadows fall, I know it's time to go. Let's go. a honky-tonk nighttime man. I can't stand no light. I'm a honky-tonk nighttime man. I can't stand no light. When the shadows fall, I know it's time to go. Let's go. Man, I can't stand no light. I'm a honky-tonk nighttime man. I can't stand no light. In my rest in the daytime, I do my running round at night. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. I'm Kyle Eldridge. Brian Oaklick on the drums. John McLean on the bass.
Rock and roll. Well, there are so many people to thank for this Red Barn Radio broadcast. First, Kyle Eldridge and the Rhythm, or no, not the Rhythm Round, the Kyle Eldridge Band.
You
Right?
call us the rhythm section.
Our first, Kyle Eldridge, our guest on tonight's program. We're ever grateful for our volunteers and staff who make our production happen each week. We want to thank all of you for listening to our webcast, watching us on social media, and those listening to us on the network of Red Barn stations and media worldwide. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn's premier radio partner, Central and Eastern Kentucky's radio news leader. You can listen online at weku.org. It's your chance to hear more great live music from Red Barn Radio and WEKU. That's NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. And speaking of Central Kentucky, those of you who live here in this area, you got to be sure to check out Red Barn TV. It's our weekly program of music, now on ABC 36 WTVQ. Red Barn Radio comes to you from our home, the Arts Place Performance Hall in downtown Lexington, Kentucky. Our website has updates and further information on our guests and our program. We're on the web at redbarnradio.com. And now, before we close out this evening's program, let's bring back Kyle Eldridge to do one more tune.
Thank you very much. We'll kindly oblige you. Here's a, let's do, you know what? Let's do an old fiddle tune. This is a little thing originally called Fire on the Mountain. It goes like this. Thank you so much.
Well, that's all for our show for this week. You can see and hear Red Barn Radio worldwide as we stream live on the web on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern in North America. You can also listen to archive performances on Patreon, Spotify, and iTunes. Hey, and remember, every like, comment, share, and subscribe helps bring roots music Southern style to your neck of the woods. And finally this, if any of our featured artists are performing in your area, go out and hear them live. They need you now more than ever. From all of us here at Red Barn Radio to all of our friends worldwide, keep working together to be safe and healthy. And until next time, good night from Red Barn Radio.